Hello everyone, thanks for watching the video. It is minus 17 degrees Celsius outside and it is nice and warm in here. By the time I've got this set up, I've had a fire going for a little while and I'm down to my fleece, and I'll be down to a t-shirt once I start working and getting back to my project. So in this video I'm going to show you how I installed a corner shower pan in the trailer. I bought this at Home Depot and it's a kind of a 45-degree angle shower pan that's obviously meant for residential use. So some of the challenges with the trailer is, first of all, that the front of the trailer, the wall is an angle because the front end peaks. So the lip of the shower pan is meant for a 90-degree angle wall, and I had to make some modifications, and I'm going to show you all the steps that I did, from cutting the hole in the floor to putting the pan in, the wiring, the framing, and I'll kind of explain it as I go. Hope you enjoy the video. So without any more talking, let's get at it. So the first step was to clean the work area, get rid of all the dust and debris. So I thought running the wires underneath the shower pan would be a perfect way instead of drilling through the frame. So I used a conduit to protect the wires. I just had to cut a small section out on the corners of the shower pan to allow the wires to feed through. To connect the walls to the 3/4 inch plywood floor, I used a metal tray that is designed for steel framing. I used 1/2-inch screws and drilled it in place into the plywood. Once I had that small wall installed, it kept the tray in place, and now it was time to drill the hole for the shower drain. So the drain is simple enough. It's a PVC adapter that unscrews, and with the top goes over top of the shower pan, and underneath it's sandwiched between the bottom part of the ABS drain. So use the Sharpie to mark the location of the drain in the plywood. I don't know why I bothered trying to mark the center, because it really wasn't necessary. And underneath the plywood is the protective aluminum sheeting on the bottom of the trailer. I had to make sure I took the protective cellophane coating off of the top of the shower pan before I put the drain on. I didn't film it, but it was a tight fit and the shower tray fit into the hole perfectly. You'll notice in my videos I like to use my jigsaw whenever possible, even for cutting 2x4s. Because the front wall of the trailer was on an angle, I needed to build out the wall and get it to come over the lip of the shower pan. So I'd just be building a false wall on top of the wall that was already there for the bottom section of the shower stall. Now, cutting an angle, I do require my skill saw. Now I used a 2x4 in this location because the weight of the wall will actually be supported by the 2x4 sitting in the metal track. I will be building out this wall to overhang the shower stall, and you'll see as the build goes on what I'm talking about. But for now, this is the false wall that I'm building, and it'll have the added benefit of having extra insulation. You can see how the framing will allow the plywood to overhang the lip. By adding this extra layer of framing, it also allowed me a spot to run the wires in the corner of the trailer. While I was adding the extra layer of insulation, I realized at the top section of the shower area, there was a gap that the styrofoam insulation didn't make it into. And as I was doing this, I thought it would be a good time to cover that area, and I used some spray foam insulation to fill in the gaps between the aluminum and the 2x4 framing. So the vapor barrier was installed to protect the framing from any moisture getting in if for some reason the waterproof shower membrane failed. Because this section of the shower pan did not have a lip, I wanted to make my own, so I used a right angle section of aluminum. So I applied a layer of Gorilla Glue adhesive to just the bottom section of the angled aluminum. This section would be the section attached to the shower pan. I had to make sure that I removed the protective cellophane from the shower stall, and I installed this piece of aluminum onto the white shower pan. It's important that it floats free from the framed wall. I used some craft paper to draw out a template before I cut the plywood for the walls. I started working out here before the snow hit. I can tell you that it was a cold day, but we had not had a lot of snow up until this point. So I just tacked down the template with the staple gun. Because the paper was not wide enough, I had to extend the actual corner. And then I just used the utility knife and marker to mark out the dimensions. I don't know if you can see my breath in this photo, but it was a very cold day out there. So the shower pan is not actually attached to the framing. The aluminum angle bracket is attached to the white shower pan, and that will move up and down independently of the plywood and the framing. So that creates a nice gap between the shower pan and the walls, so there can be some flex. And the vapor barrier comes down over top of the aluminum so that, again, it would flow any water into the shower pan.
Cut this so that there's a lip, so that the vapor barrier underneath wraps under and over the lip of the shower tub, and then the plywood goes over top there, and the membrane's going to go over top there. It's going to be a nice lip, but there's a gap, and we'll fill that with silicone later. With the movement of a trailer, you don't want it completely flush to the shower pan, so I've left a gap around all of the edges of the wood and the shower pan.
So one of the nice benefits of the front end sticking out is that normally if you install this shower at home, the wall would come straight up and, you know, my elbow space would stop about right here, which is still, you know, a good sized shower. But having it peek out here, you know, there's, you know, I won't even be touching the wall when this wall is done here. So the faucet and the shower head are going to be here. This will be a little doorway. Haven't decided if I'm going to do a door or shower curtain sort of thing. I have some ideas, but that will all come in time. There's going to be a max air fan here with the light inside the shower. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some hooks and some storage ideas into the ceiling as opposed to in the tile, because I don't want to leave the tile well, just tile, so that it doesn't, there's no leaks or anything. So I have some ideas for the ceiling so that I can hang my, you know, wet waders and other things in here so they can dry. You know, be able to turn the fan on. Again, maybe shut the door, I don't know about that. Have a vent on the bottom of the door so it can suck air in if the door's closed. And, you know, have a little compartment here where you can just dry wet and stinky clothes, that sort of thing. But the biggest benefit I really do think is by having this bow out, that makes the, you know, for a small trailer, this is a really nice shower space. And you know, the toilet, I'm not going to give you any hints on what I'm planning for the toilet, but that will also be in here as well. So yeah, I think this is going to be a great setup, and I'm really looking forward to it. So that's going to wrap up the video so far. I'll obviously be continuing this. The tiling probably won't get done. I'm going to wait for the warmer weather and do that in the spring. And my wife wants to help out with that, so that will probably be a little bit later on. But I will probably in another video finish the framing and completely rough it in. You'll have a better understanding of how things went. But I think this is a good video to explain to you some of the challenges that I had to deal with, and you know, get a good setup of the framing, and you get a good idea of what it took to accomplish that. So stay tuned. If you haven't already done so, subscribe so you can make sure you watch all the progress of Eddie and see the video and see the completed project eventually. And if you liked the video, if you've made it this far, I really appreciate if you give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Cheers.